Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. I'd also like to remind you guys to please turn on the notifications so you can make sure that you're sent every video. So today what we're going to do is we're going to look at Miss Germain's video where she talks about how fat acceptance ruined her 20s. This video was suggested to me by Caleb. Thank you, Caleb. Caleb is working to keep this channel afloat. No, I'm just kidding. Behind every millennial, there's a Gen Z that helps them and gives them ideas. I'm just kidding. No, but I appreciate it a lot, Caleb. And do you remember, you guys can always suggest things to me on Instagram or whatever, even in the comments, and I'll look at stuff. But anyways, it's been helpful because I have been struggling with the health journey a bit this month. It's been tough. This has been a challenging time. I'm just trying to get a grip on everything because everything's changing, but I have videos on the health update aspect if that interests you. I will just continue with this though. So point being, thank you, Caleb. Let's get into it.
I pretended to have asthma so I didn't have to walk to the beach. And secondly, my biggest concern was I didn't want to look like a hippo doing all of these things. Hey guys, it's Germain and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time on my channel, I just want to say welcome. My name is Germain. I make weight loss, self-improvement and lifestyle videos in here, and sometimes I sprinkle a little story time. And if you're returning to my channel, I just want to say welcome back. Thank you for clicking on this video. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. You guys,
I think I will be subscribing. It's always nice to see more people in the movement, so to speak. I appreciate your presence, Germain. I'm really excited and I'm all about it so far. So let's see.
got me to 1,000 subscribers way before I thought I would get there. I'm so happy that you guys hear my heart behind the things that I'm saying on my channel. I am not a channel where I like to bash fat people. No, I was a fat person. I still am pretty big. I was an obese person. I know what it's like being in that place. So I never ever want to create a place where we're just bashing fat people or obese people. But I do want to draw attention to the fact that obesity is a bad thing and we shouldn't be promoting it. Okay, so now without talking too much.
Yeah, so that's very good. Very pleased with that messaging. I think it's really good. As you guys know, I'm really, when it comes to this issue, I'm about solutions, you know, even if I'm still figuring it out myself at times. Like when the fall hits and my body changes and I'm in a different zone of fatness and my body is acting differently and I have to adjust, that's a little challenging, you know, but still I am all about the solutions with this issue, and I love seeing people talk about solutions. I think the more people that talk about it, the more we can fill in this sort of mosaic, this picture of the solutions. And I think it's really good and really important. So I'm excited so far. Like I said, I'm really liking it so far. Let's keep going.
I just want to get straight into today's video. By the title of this video, you already know we're going to be talking about me and my experience and my journey being a fat person in my 20s. Every time someone says, oh, I miss my 20s, or your 20s is for you to do this and do that, and oh my gosh, my 20s, I had the best time. My little sister, she's now 27 years old, and she lived her early 20s doing everything I dreamed and I wish I could have done, but I didn't do. She got to be a flight attendant. She got to do backpacking and travel the world. She met people from all over the world. She has friends from all over the world. And just all the things that she got to do, I never did. Why I never did any of it is nobody's fault but my own. So every time when someone talks about their early 20s, I just can never relate because...
Yeah, I think it's really important to take accountability, which obviously she's doing. I feel similarly. I was kind of crazy though, like, to be honest. Even in my early 20s, I still did stuff even though I was a huge hog, and it was horrifying to a certain extent, Like, I'll never forget my trip to Australia when I was 22. I turned 23 out there. Like, flying on that plane was horrible. I felt like I was in the fourth ring of hell. Like, I still did stuff. I don't know. I think it's just because I've always had a lot of super extroverted friends, and I don't know. I guess my friends are kind of crazy, but like when I was in my early 20s, my friends were just like, it's not optional. Like, you got to do stuff with us. You have to come. And I still was not like the most pleasant person a lot of the times when I was like 20, 21. Like, I was really going crazy. Like, I think my fatness was just like to a whole other level, and it was really affecting me. But it didn't matter. It's like I had really great friends, and they were really inclusive, and they pushed me, and it's like, thank you guys so much, you know. And I hope I want to live in a world where every fat person has that pressure to live, because I think that's part of what has saved me, you know, at this point. Like, yes, it's been a lot of years. I struggled with an ED, and, you know, there's been a lot of stuff, but I'm very grateful for that. So I'm sorry to hear that she didn't do stuff. I still did. I didn't do as much as I could have or as much as I wanted to, but I think that's like a typical 20s feeling. You're just never good enough. I think if I could describe the feeling of being in your 20s, I would describe it as you're never good enough. You're never enough. I think that's very much. And then you turn 30 and you're just like, oh my gosh, that was a bunch of BS. Wow. That was so dumb. And then you just like don't care anymore. So it's kind of good. I think it's just, I made so many mistakes. I think it's important to look at it that way and just try to be positive about the future, and just know like we can appreciate it more, you know, because we missed out on it in a certain extent. So it's like you can kind of appreciate things more in your 30s if you missed out on stuff in your 20s. That's kind of how I take it. I didn't miss out on everything, like I said, but there's certain things I did miss out on. So anyways, let's continue.
I did not have the best 20s. I feel like I wasted my 20s. I regret my 20s, and sometimes I just wish that I had this revelation of everything that I have now, that I had it in my early 20s, and that I changed my life in my early 20s. Because now I'm 30. I feel like when you hit 30, every decision that you make is more so for your long term and your future. This is not.
That's very true. That's extremely true. I think too, you do have that realization of like what was done, but I think, you know, I'm a whole year older than you, girl. You know, let me get on my cane here. But I think you just realize that you wouldn't have reached the conclusions that you did if you hadn't made those mistakes. And I think everybody learns different lessons in their 20s, and we all bring different things to the table in our 30s. But I think, in my opinion, so far, I feel like your 30s are about like really rounding things out and making sure like every aspect is developed. And for me, like my physical body throughout my 20s was very not developed, you know, like I was very out of shape, very unhealthy for most of my 20s. And that became a primary focus towards the end of my 20s and into my 30s. And now I feel like I'm really rounding out. Whereas I did a lot more like spiritual growth in my 20s, intellectual pursuits in my 20s, and figuring things out, piecing things together, finding answers, relationship disasters, the whole shebang, right? And making tons and tons and tons of mistakes, horrific mistakes, so many failures I can't even count. But, you know, pressure makes diamonds, you know. I think it's just, some of it's mindset, but there's nothing wrong with like taking accountability and wanting to do things differently. I think that's amazing.
The era for you to be playing around anymore. This is not the era for you to be living on the edge. This is the era for you to be getting your life together and doing things with a proper plan in mind. Or at least for me, that's the case. I know a lot of people who watch my videos, you were either obese before or you were currently on a weight loss journey or something like that. Were you obese in your 20s? And what was that like? Because
it's horrible, but I think it's horrible to be obese whenever, to be honest. But as you get older, it actually gets worse, you know, because the health stuff starts to catch up and it gets really scary. But as far as like social cringe factor, really scarring things, like I'll never forget paddleboarding when I was like really fat and it's like I don't have the balance and I'm like falling into the water and it's really embarrassing. But I was so introverted as a teen that a lot of my 20s was just kind of like throwing things at the wall and just like seeing what sticks and just like forcing myself to do things that were really horrible. I spent so much of my 20s forcing myself to do things that were awkward, scarring, horrible, difficult, etc. because I felt like I was just way overly sensitive as a teenager and I was like scared to live life at 20 and 21 and I was like, I have to reject that and I have to just like throw myself into shit. But yeah, being fat, doing all that, it was so awkward. It was horrible. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, it was very awkward. It's really scarring. So, yeah. On a social level, it's horrible. It just is. But you kind of you have to learn to let water slide off your back kind of thing. And I wasn't always the best at that. But again, through my horrific mistakes and times in my 20s where I never let anything go and all my feuds and all this chaos and weird stuff. In my 20s, it's like I learned to not be like that in my 30s, you know? It's like, no, stop, over, waste of time. This plays out because you just see like all these cycles and it was the same thing with my binging. You know, I could see the same cyclical nature of that and of doing unsustainable diets and these types of things. It's like I could see all these different cycles. And I think as you get towards the end of your 20s, you really see the cyclical things. But I always tell my little Gen Zs out there, you know, if you're like 20, you just gotta live. You know, the worst mistake you can do at 20 is to waste all your time playing video games, waste all your time doing DRUGs, waste all your time not having a job or not dating. You know, like you need to just be dating, doing jobs, traveling, doing things, going out, you know, that kind of stuff. Be safe, of course, but you need to just live, just get experience and make mistakes and stumble, you know, live on your own, live with roommates, do this, do that. Like you just got to do stuff and see the different mistakes and then you kind of synthesize it all in your 30s, you know, especially, or even late 20s, I think you can. And then, yeah, I think the best place, in my opinion, to be at when you're 30 is feeling like you're like halfway there. It's like this feeling of like, I know where I'm going, but I know I'm not there yet. And I think that's kind of the magic point. And I think, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody who's older, who's like in their 40s and 50s and stuff, if you guys are in the audience, but I feel like you just never quite get there. You know what I mean? Like it's just like an ever evolving journey. But I just think the regret that I would have had at 30 is if I hadn't learned anything or if I hadn't accomplished anything. It's like, you don't have to be completely on your path or know your life story or whatever. Like you don't have to do all that at 30, but I still think you need to have some things under your belt and just live your life, please. So yeah, anyways, sorry, we got kind of philosophical, but she's making me think. You're making me think, Jermaine.
Experience being fat in my 20s was not pretty. I feel like I was lied to in my 20s with all the fat positive and fat acceptance influencers or celebrities. So if you're watching my video and you're in your early 20s or even 19 or 18 years old and you're obese, that's even better. Not that it's even better that you're obese, but it's even better that if you're younger and you're watching my video, or even if you're hitting that way of becoming obese, this video is for you. This is your best season to turn your life around.
Yes. So it's always, the younger you are, the easier it is, period. It's very much truth. And I will say as well, we love a cycle breaking queen. Love that. Thank you, Jermaine. I love seeing my millennial sisters and brothers trying to break cycles and trying to make things better for future generations. I don't like the millennials that don't do that. I don't like the millennials that lie to younger generations or try to make things worse and more confusing for them. So she's one of the good ones, y'all. One of the good ones.
Please don't listen to these people, because I can tell you they're lying to you, and I was one of those people who were deceived by these people.
Could have my tummy out. Even if it's just on TikTok for clout. And if you got something to say, shut your mouth, cause I'm a hot ass bitch. I'm a hot ass bitch.
Okay, but why would you post that if you don't want anything, if you don't want anyone to say anything? Or why wouldn't you just turn comments off? It's like, a troll is trolling. That's a troll.
I can't tell you the amount of times during my 20s where I thought, I don't need to lose weight. There are all these fat people between Ashley Graham and Tess Holliday who are beautiful, who are happy, who have a job, who have men, and the world thinks they're gorgeous, and they seem happy. They're living life. No, that is not true. And that's a lie that I was sold. There is no quality of life looking like this.
Yes. It's not even just looking. It's like also the feeling of it. It's the labored breathing. You know, at her size, it's being uncomfortable when you're trying to sleep at night. It's not being able to fit in any chairs really well, you know, like, and it's just a constant thing. Like, I don't think a lot of very thin people understand like how much of a struggle it is to be that size, because every single moment you are quite literally weighed down, and you're just constantly aware of your size because everything is like too small for you, or you can't breathe right, or you're exhausted. Walking up a flight of stairs is tiring. You don't want to get up. You don't want to clean the house because it's like you don't want to do a lot of this stuff. And I'm not saying that she's in that category necessarily, you know, Tess, but most people become like that because it's a huge toll. And even if you're not like that at this very moment, you probably will be within a few short years. That's just realistic, you know, realistic thinking. So, because she's very big. She's not just a little bit big, like, she's very big. That's very hard. So it goes way beyond just looks. It's like functional. She's at the point where it's affecting her function, her ability to function in life. I can't even imagine the pressure too of having to act like you're completely fine. Like, at least for me, as somebody who was super fat, I'm now mid-fat. I know a lot of people don't like that I use the terms, but I kind of like them, so I'm using them. But as somebody who was a super fat, at least I didn't have to act like I felt okay. I didn't have to wear a smile on my face. I didn't have to do this stuff. You know, you do it, you get up and you push through, unless if you completely give up. But yeah, I mean, Tess has ambition and drive and all these things. And I can assure you, if she were to be healthier, she probably would be doing 10 times as many things as what she's doing now. There are people that just have hella willpower and ambition and drive. But it doesn't mean that she isn't held down still by it. She is. She'd probably be able to do even more, honestly. You know. But yeah, a lot of fat people are resilient, so that isn't really talked about as much, because you have to be. You have to be resilient to get up and live like that. It's very hard, you know, and I do think people don't understand how difficult stuff like that is, which again is partly why I push so hard for solutions, because I don't want anybody to live the way that I've lived. I don't want anybody to continue to live that way, especially if that's not what they want. And so that's why we do the work here. I'm trying to, you know, spread awareness about being like this size, because it's very difficult. It must be exhausting, honestly.
And that's the truth. This is not a quality life. Please don't make the same mistakes I did, because I was influenced by these people. So I think it's my responsibility as somebody who was personally affected by the fat acceptance movement, who was influenced, who believed that lie, who wasted my early 20s living a lie. I was not happy, but I kept trying to convince myself that I was. Because if these people are living their life and if these people seem happy, then I should be too, right? I was at the heaviest I'd ever been in my life at 21 years old, weighing 120 kg. There were a lot of things about myself that I thought was normal, but actually was not. Like, for example, I would sweat from doing the tiniest bit of thing. I would sweat from bending down and tying my shoelaces. I would sweat from just walking a few feet. And I thought, this is normal. Everybody sweats, right? I would.
No, well, for me, I'm super hypolicious. I'm very hypothyroid. I'm like moderately so now, but I don't sweat that much because I'm like hypo. It's like actually a health issue. In the summer, though, I do. I've started to sweat a lot more in the summer, and it's scarring. So I think when I'm less hypo, you know, like at peak seasonality and that kind of stuff, and obviously when it's very hot, it's like hot in general, but also like my metabolism's faster, right? You do sweat for anything. And it's because pretty much anything you're doing, it's like a monumental effort for your body. It's like a workout. That's why I think a lot of really big people need to understand, like, just walking is like, it's like a decent workout. If you're like really big, like if you're like 300 pounds as a woman, or, you know, 350 as a man, for example, if you're in that quality or that size, just walking for like an hour or something is actually a really laborious workout. Like, you don't have to run 10 miles or anything. You really don't.
This is a bit TMI, but I used to have really bad body odor, and I thought this is normal. Everybody's like this. I used to have to constantly dry myself, clean myself, just ensure that I am dry as possible, because I used to have fat rolls everywhere, and the sweat would like kind of make me smell bad. I would be very nervous if people came too close to me because I was so scared that they could smell me. Like, that's not normal.
Yeah, that's a huge burden. And I think, you know, for me, I don't know that I have that. I don't know. I guess I could. I have no idea. But the only thing that I can think of that's similar is, like, you guys have known I have that horrible... I've had a really crazy armpit rash this year. Like, since February all the way till now. It's not as bad now. I feel like I reached a certain level where it's improved, but it was pretty, you know, intense. And I would agree. I don't think it's normal either. You know, not necessarily, but that's a very obesity related type of thing that I was going through, and that I still currently am, but it's just not as bad.
I used to think it was normal. I thought, yeah, everybody's probably having to like constantly clean themselves. No. As soon as I lost weight, as soon as I didn't have fat rolls, I was not sweaty like I used to be. As soon as I changed the way I was eating, I kid you not, when doctors say you are what you eat, they really mean you are what you eat. As soon as I changed the way I was eating, I ate more fruits, I ate more vegetables and things like that. My body, I did not have the kind of smell that I used to have anymore. And my skin, I used to have a lot of hyperpigmentation, and I just thought like, oh, maybe this is just my skin, it's like this for everybody, because hyperpigmentation is a thing. But this was not hyperpigmentation. This was toxins in my body. As soon as I changed the way I was eating, as soon as I changed the way I was sleeping, I made sure that I had enough sleep, I made sure that I was eating clean. My skin was not spotty and dark like that anymore. I was not having bad body odor anymore. I was not having to constantly clean myself or wipe myself because I'm afraid that, oh my gosh, I smell bad. Like all of those problems were gone. Why? Because weight does have something to do with it. How you're eating, how your food really does reflect on the outside. What you eat really does reflect on the outside. Which is why whenever all these fat acceptance people say, oh, don't judge me, how do you know what I eat? I eat a bowl of salad every day, or I eat really healthy and I'm just fat but I eat really healthy. The way you look tells me what you eat. The way you look tells me whether you live a healthy lifestyle or not.
I'd love to know, because if you're really healthy, do you have any joint issues, or so you're completely...
So I think it's difficult to say right off the bat, just because you don't always know. You don't know exactly how somebody is eating based on how they look. I've established a lot, and I try to talk about a lot on this channel, that a lot of dieting advice is not actually helpful, especially towards somebody of a very, very big size. You know, and as an example, telling somebody to cut out meat, it's very unhelpful for a very large person. Telling somebody to cut out carbs is very unhelpful for a very large person. It can actually hamper weight loss. It can create more hunger, which can trigger eating a lot, because I don't care who you are, if you were hungry all the time, you would eat. You know, it's a biological drive. So I don't know if you can always know. Like, I think sometimes a lot of fat people, they follow typical advice, or they follow advice like that, or maybe they take a way too harsh of a caloric deficit, and they just can't sustain it, and they give up or whatever. And so it creates a perception that, well, this is just how I'm meant to be. When I would say, no, it's just that diet advice isn't really working, or you need to try something different until you find a solution. You know, so I don't know that you can always judge somebody. But what you can pretty much judge if somebody's very big is you can pretty much judge that they are overeating. So that is true. So you can usually tell the amount that they're eating. I don't care if you eat 5,000 calories of bananas a day, you will still gain weight. That weight might be distributed differently. It might look different than somebody eating 5,000 calories of French fries every day. But no matter what you eat, you can gain weight if you eat enough. So that's just reality as well.
1.5 kilometers a day. I walk, I exercise all the time. I am in a synchronized swimming team.
Sure, but you also eat a lot. So that's what I would say to someone like her. I'd say you may do those things, but you're eating a lot. And that would probably scar her if I were to say that to her. But it's truth. You're eating a lot. Maybe you should investigate why. That's pretty much what I would say to someone like that woman.
Whole equation that you want to know what I eat. I eat salad. I eat meat. I don't eat carbs because they don't agree with me.
Yeah. I don't know if I would agree with that choice, but that's neither here nor there, you know, but clearly not eating carbs isn't really helping. You know, so that's an example of what I'm talking about. It can slow your metabolism. You know, if you cut out whole food groups, it can slow your metabolism. It can make it harder. I think a lot of people have very black and white thinking when it comes to dieting, and they think it's really important to cut something out 100%. I don't agree with that. We need to normalize gray thinking with dieting. It's okay to have less carbs. I don't think it's okay to have none. That's not okay. But I still think she's eating a lot. You know? Just saying, girl. You're probably eating a lot. I highly doubt that you're just eating meat and salad. You're probably having other stuff too, but it's very high calorie, or it's a sustained high calorie diet over a long period of time. You may also be having cheat meals or cheat days and stuff like that. But usually, if you look at stuff, you could find the answer. You can find why somebody's fat. And it always goes back to they're eating too much.
I eat a lot of fruit and vegetables. I'm primarily vegetarian.
If you're
Okay, so you contradicted yourself a couple times there. You said you don't eat carbs, but yet you eat fruit. That's a contradiction. So I don't know if I could trust what she's saying. But if she's vegetarian as well, that is metabolism killing as well. It doesn't surprise me. She's probably relying on a lot of seed oil consumption and products that have a lot of cheese in them, or a lot of chips and that kind of stuff. So a lot of those oils, fried foods, that kind of stuff. Even though she says she doesn't eat carbs, I find it hard to believe she doesn't know fruit is a carb. So, yeah. I would just, if I heard somebody say that to me, I'd be like, this person is probably lying. So that's the thought that went into my head.
it's very obvious for us to know that you're not living a healthy lifestyle, because there is no way you're eating a bunch of broccoli and chicken breast every single day and then you look like that. Like, nah. I need you guys to hear this because I can't.
It's very hard to eat a huge amount of calories from broccoli and chicken breast. Broccoli and chicken breast is very low calorie. And it can be kind of bland, I'm not gonna lie. I know that that's probably offensive to people, but I do find it to be kind of bland myself. So it is hard to overeat that just because it's so incredibly bland. I think what would tend to happen is you'd eat broccoli and chicken breast, and then you do that for a couple days, and then you just like binge out after a couple days, because it's not a balanced diet to eat like that. So,
and I don't care if people hate me for saying the things that I'm saying, because I know what it's like being an obese person, and I would never wish that on anybody at all. It changes every aspect of your life. Being overweight like that, being obese, I'm not talking about being slightly chubby, okay? I'm talking about being fat, like really obese, is the worst thing that could happen to you. And
I don't know if it's the worst thing that can happen to you, but it's not a good thing. It's a very bad thing. That's what I will say. It's unfortunate. It's difficult. It does affect every aspect of your life. It affects your social life, your sleep, the way your body processes food, your hormones, the way you think about things. It affects mental health. It affects your ability to work. Like, it affects your finances. It affects everything. Every aspect of your life. There is not a single aspect of life that is untouched by obesity. And it is a bad thing. And I think that that's what's really important to just understand, is that it is a bad thing. You are being quite literally held down. There's really no other way to say it, you know. You're being held down in every aspect of your life. And it's very much one of those situations where you're the problem and the solution. Like, nobody can save you from your own obesity, but, you know, I do believe in God. But it comes from, you know, it can't be anyone else. I'll put it to you that way, right? Can't be anyone else. No other person can save you from it. You gotta look to a higher power, or you gotta rely on yourself. Those are your two options. And I've seen people do it in both ways, but that's really the only two ways. Keeping it real. Okay? So, yeah.
Self-destructive. It is you voluntarily putting yourself in that situation, and it's not okay. You have a large group of people telling you that fat doesn't mean you're not beautiful. You should love your fatness. You should love your rolls and embrace it.
Could have my tummy out even if it's just on TikTok for clout.
She look good instead of she looks good for a big girl. How about we do that?
Better learn your rules. If you don't, you'll be eaten in your sleep.
You should be a
Okay, I don't know what is up with those FAs. Like, that stuff is not helpful. It doesn't create understanding. It doesn't build bridges with people. It's like really alienating and gross and weird. And people that are in shape don't act like that either. You know, I think if you want equality, you need to just like act appropriately. You know, if a thin person acts super inappropriate and weird and alienating and, you know, semi-hostile, they're not gonna be very liked either, you know? I think it's important to remember that. I think a lot of FAs forget that people care about stuff like that, you know, especially online. So it's really important to be aware of that. And I do personally believe that when you're at a certain level of fatness and it's affected your health and your mental health so badly, you don't see how you're being perceived anymore. And I only say that because I went through that. And this year I've really become very aware of how I'm perceived, and I've started acting a lot more appropriately, and I've been a lot more liked, and I don't face as much discrimination, which I didn't think it was discrimination at the time. I just was feeling like everybody was out to get me, and you know, it's very very FA coded, but yeah, you know, it affects. It's people don't know what's going on with you when you're acting like that. And I don't, like, I know what's going on with these FAs because I've felt that way before. It's a very unhealthy place to be. Your body is like running on adrenaline and you're going crazy and you just want to fight with everybody and you want to troll everyone, and you're just acting like a ping pong ball, bouncing around, reactive, always up, down, around, happy, sad. You know, you see a lot of the FAs, they go through cycles where they're like really attacking people, and then they pull back and they're like really depressed, and then they're really attacking people again. Like, it kind of goes back and forth. It goes in waves because it's hormonal. It's a hormonal thing as well. It's really interesting. I really should make a video about that. I need to like work on stuff, but I'm telling you guys, I'm trying to get this stuff done myself. Like, I'm trying to just do the work for real on myself. That's why I struggle sometimes with the content. It's like, I know you guys understand, but it's like, I want to show y'all I'm the real deal. You know what I mean? So I gotta do it, you know?
to be happy and eat whatever you want. Anyone who thinks otherwise is a hater or is fat phobic. You can choose to believe them, or you can choose to take a moment and silence every other voice and truly ask yourself right now, are you happy? Do you really feel beautiful? Do you feel healthy from the inside out? Do you feel like what you're doing to your body every single day, the decisions that you're making, is leading you to a longer life, is leading you to a path that's going to make you really happy in the long term? Everything that you're doing to your body is an investment for your future. So
This is pure wisdom. Very good. This is such a great introductory video to understanding the reality of fatness. This is so well said. Thank you.
moment to really ask yourself, putting aside their voices, putting aside my voice, are you really happy? If you're obese, or if you're in the path of getting obese or even bigger, morbidly obese, truly ask yourself, if this, because this fat acceptance people, this is a thing, this is a fad. It's here today, it will disappear after a while.
Oh my gosh, she is so dead on. You're so amazing. Yes, this is so true. This is like pure truth. This is amazing. This is so well stated. I love this. I love the appeal to think of like how you really feel yourself. Like, you know, I think when you're very unhealthy, sometimes you're always thinking about what other people are saying or what other people are thinking about you. It's a very paradoxical thing to be in that state of fatness where it's like affecting your brain, because it's like on one hand, all you care about is what other people think, but on the other hand, you're completely unaware of how you're coming across. It's like a huge paradox. And it's like, I think she's right. Like, if you are feeling that way, if you're listening to her video and you're getting upset and you're freaking out and you're really, really angry at the things that she's saying, just like listen and do like a meditation or something, you know, and just think about how you feel. How do I feel? What is my actual emotional state right now? How do I actually feel? Not what does FA tell me I should feel, not what does my friends tell me I should feel, not what does my family tell me I should feel. Just ask yourself, how do I actually feel? And just like really get in touch with yourself, and you may be surprised at what you find.
The one who's going to be stuck with that body is you. I saw Adele lose weight and I panicked because she was supposed to be a hero to me. She was one of those people who I always I found myself in her. I was just like, oh, she's big and she's a singer and da 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 da. Listen, all these other people who are promoting fatness, any day they can just change their mind. If you're putting your thoughts and your belief in whatever they are telling you, then if they take it away, it's gone. You'll crumble. You really need to figure out for yourself whether you truly are going to be happy with the choices that you're making today, tomorrow. I know what it's like to feel invisible. I know what it's like to be the ugly one, the duff, the excluded one, the voiceless one, the insecure one. And then I also know what it's like to be the one who takes up more space, who has higher potential of breaking a chair, who may at times cause inconvenience to others just because of my fatness. I'm sorry if the lighting suddenly changed because it's getting dark outside, and so I'm using like another light. If there's anything that I wish I could change, it would be to redo my 20s and start my weight loss journey earlier. When I was in my early 20s,
I wish I knew what I know about weight loss now. I wish I knew it when I was younger. I would have just implemented it and it would have been a very straight line for me. But I think it was good for me to kind of descend to the levels of hell. I know that's horrible to say, but I kind of did in 2020, and I feel like I reached the bottom of hypothyroidism and obesity, and I really was very close to death. And so it's like I've experienced the deepest depths of this stuff, and I've descended and I'm now ascending out of it. And so I'm thankful for the experience, just because I feel like I can understand people, like, and by the time I'm done losing weight, I'll be able to understand people at virtually any level. You know, there's only very few people that I wouldn't, and that's people who are like 600 pounds or bedbound. I was never at that level. But as far as like your average super fat person and somebody who's dying because of their obesity, I can understand what that feels like. And so while I wish I could have just done it when I was younger and whatever, I think it puts me in a situation where I can understand people at all the levels, you know, especially as I finish my journey, which I'm not there yet. You know, I'm about halfway, I'd say, to not being fat anymore. I'm so glad you guys are watching and stuff, and it's really nice. I'm really happy to be disproving this narrative publicly in real time. That's my goal, you know, it's my goal to make it an activistic journey, because I am older and I can handle it and stuff like that. So, like I said, I understand her sentiment, but I think for me personally, at this point, I'm kind of glad things happened the way they did, just so I could do this, you know. Okay, let's continue.
I would dress like an auntie. And not only in my early 20s, even like when I was 18, 19 years old, I was using my mom's clothes. I've shared some of this in a previous video, but this is like a little more in-depth and just focused on me in my 20s. I used to wear my mom's clothes whatever that would fit me, or I would need to buy clothes from outside, but it needed to be like really big size clothes. And you cannot be picky. When you're overweight, you just have to wear whatever that you can find. And so I used to wear a lot of auntie clothes. When I turned 21, I did not have a birthday party or anything like that because your girl had no friends. I had very few friends.
That's not good. I'm so sorry. Oh, I am so sorry. No, we need to prevent this. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, girl. I hope we can get to the point where this doesn't happen. I hope we get to a point where it doesn't happen to anybody. But I feel for you. Like, that must have been really really horrible, really hard.
And the friends that I did have were not really my friends. They were my sister's friends. So my sister and I always had this thing where my sister would make the friends and I would keep the friends. And
introvert. Introvert solidarity? No, I'm just kidding.
She's like this very extroverted, very confident person.
I would just like have like one extroverted friend and then they'd have like 500. So I would just like leech off of them. You got to learn to do the extrovert leech. That's something I maybe can get into on my personal channel, but I do feel like there needs to be more introvert awareness. It's one of my pet causes, okay?
And I used to always be this very shy, quiet, insecure person. I was a homebody, and not because I liked being at home. I was a homebody because it's just safe that way. Nobody can see me. I didn't have to go out and meet people. If I didn't meet people, then I wouldn't be rejected by people. I didn't date around because no guys liked me. I would friend zone myself before even anyone friend zoned me. And when I did have guys that liked me, if they were a little bit attractive, I would assume that I was being pranked. Or it would be guys that...
That's horrible. Yeah, that's rough.
I genuinely was never attracted to, but I couldn't be picky, so I would like have to entertain them a little bit because they thought I
totally can understand what she's saying, and nobody should have to go through stuff like that. Like, you know, she's a very pretty girl. I'm certain she has plenty of options today. You know what I'm saying? So it's very unfortunate, and it's preventable, and it's all these things. You don't want to destroy your looks. Like, you just don't. I will just say that. Like, I know that that's vain and horrible to say, but you don't get any benefit or blessing from destroying your looks. Like, you just don't. I don't think looks are everything, but looks are something, and there's no reason, like, especially if you're born really beautiful, there's no reason to make yourself ugly or to like take that away from yourself. It's just a very self-destructive thing. And I know that people get really triggered about that kind of stuff. I don't think it's good to like lord your looks over people or, you know, that kind of stuff, but don't destroy yourself, you know, or don't sell yourself short. Don't cut yourself off at the knees. Like, absolutely. I completely agree with her here. I completely agree with her. I'm so sorry.
looked nice. And then after that, I would like stop talking to them after a while because like I was not attracted to them. I had no standards when it came to dating. I had no standards when it came to guys. I remember going on a date with one guy. He was somewhat attractive and he was a football player. And I thought in my mind like, oh, I should be so grateful because someone like him likes me. The whole time we were sitting at the table, he just kept talking about my weight, like asking me if I have plans on losing weight, telling me how I shouldn't be eating the food that I was eating.
Oh my god, that's horrifying. That is horrifying.
And I felt so like embarrassed and I was so upset and I just wanted to get out of there. And after that day, I never spoke to him again because he made me feel so bad about myself. He was no prize either. So for me to be sitting there and taking all these jabs, and I was not even pointing out anything negative about him. I was just taking in everything he was saying and being like, yeah, I know, yeah, I am kind of overweight. Yeah, I am trying to lose weight. No, I wasn't. I was just sitting there and taking it all because somebody likes me, right? Somebody asked me out on a date. And then later I was dating somebody who just had so much of baggage, and I think I was just like someone he needed like a shoulder to cry on. And I was like, I don't even know if that was a relationship. I don't even feel like it was, because that's how it is. I was so overweight. I didn't think I looked attractive. I didn't even know my self-worth. I wasn't even acting like someone who had any self-worth. And so I was just like, anyone who likes me, like, yeah, sure, why not? I was always the funny one that did silly videos on the internet, and if anyone were to describe Jermaine, they would always say, oh, she's funny, Jermaine is funny. And I was like, yeah, I'll take it, you know, at least people like have something positive when they think of me, so I'll just be the funny one. And I used to make a fool of myself on the internet. I think I shared this with you guys before. I used to make videos that I thought were like really funny, but it was just like cringe. When I was
I don't know, that's really funny to me. I mean, some of this stuff is just being younger. I don't think you should be so hard on yourself. You know, I think a lot of people can, like I said, I think your 20s is just, you're not good enough. It's like a feeling of not being good enough. That's like what it is to be in your 20s, you know, and you just act crazy because you feel like you're not good enough.
late 20s. No, this is not even 20s. I think I was like 19 or 18. I remember, no, I was 19. I remember my church had, I was so unfit. I was so heavy and so unfit. I remember my church, we had like a church camp thing, and everybody was going to go on a walk from our hotel to the beach.
Oh no.
I pretended to have asthma, so I didn't have to walk to the beach. So I told everyone that, oh, I'm wheezing, and so I'm gonna just stay in the hotel and take my inhaler. But the truth was, I just didn't want to walk. I couldn't walk too far.
Yeah, plus like when you're big like that and you're not in shape at all, it's just like horrible because you know like everybody else is going to be like walking so much faster than you. You're going to be sweating, you're going to be out of breath, like you're going to be exhausted by the end of it. Like I totally understand that. I totally get that. That can go away even before losing weight though, like if you train. So if you go to the gym and you kind of build yourself up, then you could handle a walk, even if you were still fat. Because I could handle it now. I could. I'd be fine. But I'm very active. So
It wasn't even that far. Also, you know what's funny? Now my favorite activity is walking. I genuinely love walking. But it's so funny because when I was like really big, I used to be forced to walk. Like my mom's friends used to be like, come on Jermaine, come with me, let's go for a walk, let's go for a walk. Every time something involved walking, I was out. I was like, nah, don't count me in. What's more embarrassing is that I have a vlog footage because I vlogged that trip. This was when I had an old channel, a YouTube channel, and I vlogged that camp. So I was like looking back at my vlog recently, and there's a clipping of me saying, hey guys, so everyone just went out to the beach, but I got an asthma attack, so I can't go out, so I'm just having to stay in the hotel. When that wasn't the case. It's so cringe. What's more cringe is that there is footage of my lies. I was just always making excuses as to why I couldn't do a lot of things. Even like when I used to go,
I had this one video when I was like, I think I was 24. And I had like a really messy situationship bullshit thing with the guy. And it was like just so messy. I'm not even going to get into it. It was just so crazy when I was young. It was with a guy where like it was unclear of if he was gay or not. It was like this whole ass thing, and it was just weird. And I think he was probably bi or something. It was just a mess. It was a mess. And I remember, I think I still have the footage, which I watch it sometimes and it's really scarring. But I talked about how I found out that he was engaged to a girl. And in the video, I was just like, I don't know why he wouldn't just tell me. Like, it wouldn't have been a big deal and da-da-da-da. I mean, he should have just told me that, you know, he wasn't interested in me and whatever, because he never would. He was weird like that. He was one of those guys, I don't know if you guys can relate to that, but it's like one of those guys where they never give you an answer. He never gave me an answer, never gave me any closure, nothing. And so I was like, I don't know why he wouldn't just tell me, like, it's not a big deal to me, whatever, like, I'm fine, da-da-da-da. And then when I turned the camera off, I like went in my room and I like bawled my eyes out. And I had my 2 cats at the time. RIP, both my cats passed in 2020, but I cried so gutturally that both my cats came to comfort me. And like, if you guys have cats, usually you have to be pretty guttural for them to comfort you when you're crying, but I was that devastated. So, loves it, you know? We love a young person gaslighting yourself, king or queen.
My youth camps back in the day, everyone used to go out and play. You guys know what Hydro War is, but you'll have like a piece of paper on your shirt. It's something like paintball, but this is with water guns, and then you have like a piece of paper on your shirt, and then you're supposed to shoot each other, shoot people, and then whoever's paper like gets torn, then they lose. I used to always lie whenever we have youth camp, because this was a game that we played in youth camp like every year. So I went for my youth camp every single year. But as soon as it involved us playing this game, we always play this game every year, I would always be in the dorms. I'll just be like, yeah, I'm not feeling well, I'm
introvert queen.
In my 20s, when everybody was traveling the world and, you know, doing things like backpacking. My sister did backpacking in her 20s. My sister used to work as a flight attendant, and she got like discounted tickets for me and my family. So that would have given me a lot of opportunity to travel. Also because like I was just studying at that time, and I used to work part-time. So every money that I earned from working part-time, I could actually save and travel if I wanted to during my semester
That
breaks.
sucks.
But
That I can see why she has some regrets. That sucks. I feel you.
I never traveled because I was afraid that I would be too big for the plane seats, which is actually not true. I'm not too big for plane seats. I was not too big for plane seats, but I was afraid. And even
Also too though, it's like just being on the trip. Like when I went to Australia, if we did like a 3-week, it was 2 weeks in Australia, 1 week in New Zealand. I was exhausted. It was so hard. Like I felt like I was in the freaking Olympics, you know, like cause we had to get up like 3 a.m. flights. We had to go here, go there, right? Like we're flying every 2 days. I mean, it was really an intense trip. And I was really scared that I wouldn't be able to keep up physically with the trip. But like I said, this introvert queen forced himself to get on that plane. I had the privilege to be able to do that trip, and I forced myself to do it. And it was really intense. And afterwards, I had to like rest for like a month. I was exhausted. I had horrible travel fatigue, but I felt so accomplished that I did it. I remember when I got to the end of the trip, I felt like I had just completed a pilgrimage or something, like, because I was just like, I can't believe I was able to do this. And so sometimes too, it's like, especially when you're introverted like that, you just got to do it just so you can prove to yourself that you can, even if it's difficult. So I wish she would have traveled. You needed to just travel, girl. You needed to just do it and just be scarred and cringed out. It's always better to be scarred and cringed. Nobody cares 2 years down the line. Just do it. And if it's horrifying, whatever, people will forget. You'll always remember, but then you'll be like, okay, I know to never do that again, you know?
if I did travel, like what was I going to do? I wouldn't be able to do a lot of things. I would probably just want to eat and stay in the hotel. Like I don't think I was going to walk around. I don't think I was going to be able to do any activities like whitewater rafting. Can you imagine me trying to do whitewater rafting? Like
it would have been scarring. That would have been really scarring. I don't know if I could have done that myself. I didn't do that. I couldn't afford to do everything like that when I went on the trip, but I did like a lot of sightseeing. We walked around. We walked all day. We'd leave the hotel like 8 in the morning, get back at like 10 at night. You know, it was very extensive. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how interested I am in whitewater rafting just because I'm terrified of like animals in the water. Like it kind of freaks me out. So that's a whole other level. But I did go to the Great Barrier Reef and I did see sharks and it was kind of scarring. But I knew they were well fed, even though I felt like I was a big whale in the water and they could come after me because I did snorkel there. So I would never forget it. Then I got pink eye because I wore contacts like a dummy at the Great Barrier Reef. So you always make great decisions in your early 20s, you know?
what if I get injured and people need to like help me, but they can't help me because I'm too heavy?
I was
like,
scared.
All these fears used to be my biggest concern.
Well, and then you have to think about like health insurance in another country, and it's just like really scarring. It was scarring, and I had to go to the doctor in Australia, and that was just like wild to me. It was so different from America. It was just so weird. But
do a lot of things because I was so scared. Like, firstly, my concern was, what if I get injured? What if something happened to me? How is people going to be able to...
they're valid concerns, but you have to like get insurance. Like, there's a whole thing. I know I'm talking to like the young early 20s you, but I'm just saying, in case there's some Gen Z listening to this, I'm just trying to like
carry me or save me. And secondly, my biggest concern was I didn't want to look like a hippo doing all of these things. You want to look pretty when you're doing activities. You don't want to look like this.
You just got to be a hippo. You just got to do it. I know it was scarring. I know I looked like a big whale when I was in the water, but luckily the sharks didn't bite me. They didn't eat me. I was scared they would. I was like, but you know.
Also, why travel? I had no interest in meeting new people. I had no interest in like staying in hostels or anything like that, because what if people rejected me? The world is not the nicest to fat people. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. And no, it's not a good thing, which is why on my channel, I'm not here to bash fat people, because I completely understand that the world is really harsh and not nice to people who are overweight or not the best looking, who are not attractive. How the world treats you when you're obese or unattractive, it's not okay and it's not excusable. At the same time, fatness is a choice. As a fat person, as an obese person, you have to quickly develop skills to compensate for your fatness and your ugliness. And besides comedy, for me, it was my singing and my songwriting and my music related things. As quickly as possible,
Ooh, she's a cynical queen. I would say like definitely to a certain extent there's truth to that, but I think everybody does. Again, I don't think that, and maybe unless if you're just like drop dead gorgeous, but even usually if you're drop dead gorgeous, you still have to like be likable, or you know, there's still some kind of stuff you have to do. But I can see what she's saying. But cynical queen, yeah, she's been through some stuff for sure. I have to. I can understand what she's saying, but yeah, it's harsh.
I needed new people in my life to know that I sang. And I kid you not, I used to get really frustrated like when my mom introduces me and my sister to people and she does not introduce my talents. I would get so upset if new people in my circle did not know that I could sing or that I could write songs. And so my mom would always intro my sister and I, and then she would always have people know that I can sing and that I can write songs. So I would always be singing my songs to people. Whenever anyone visited our home, I remember I would always, and guys, I'm not talking about me being like 8 years old doing this, okay? I was doing this as an adult. I was doing this in my teen years. I was doing this in my adulthood. Every time someone new came to our house, I would take out my guitar and just start performing. Oh my god, this is so embarrassing. And like, I was not even paying attention to see if people like wanted to listen to me sing or whatever. But
that's a little scarring.
Remember, like every time I would take out my guitar and about to do my little show, I could tell that people were like, okay, like, is she really gonna do this now? But my mind would always tell me like, if only they heard my voice, they just need to hear me sing.
Yeah, that's a little cringe. I agree with her there. Okay, we're agreeing in cringe levels. Yes.
This is so cringe. And so yeah, there is nobody in my circle who did not know I sang or wrote songs, because I was always singing it at them. My identity was my talent. Like, I did not think I was good enough without it. So I was so concerned if people saw me, they would just think I'm a fat person. They needed to know that I'm more than just a fat person. I'm a fat singing person. If you think Adele, you think me. I was not good enough on my own. And you know what's funny? As soon as I started taking care of myself, as soon as I started losing weight, I was okay. So okay just being silent.
I'm kind of getting there. It's a really weird feeling. It's really weird, girly. I'm getting there now. It's a very strange feeling.
Being there and nobody knowing. Like, I've always heard people say, oh, if you lose weight, it's not going to automatically change everything for you. Life is not going to be better just because you lose weight. Your same problems that was there before will still be there. But if you first choose to love yourself, and then you decide that you are worthy of love, and you're able to see yourself the way God sees you, your self-worth is not going to be put in anything else. And then you'd be able to lose weight. You first really need to find your self-worth. You need...
So that very mindset that she talked about, that's what got me to start breaking my BED. So that's a spiritual awakening. That's very significant. Hugely significant for a lot of us. That's great.
Identity cannot be in your talents. Your identity cannot be in, oh, if I am thin, I'm going to be like this, I'm going to be like that. Your identity cannot be in all these material things, because things change any day. What if I'm pregnant? I'm going to be fat again. Does that mean I have no more self-love and no more self-worth? No. Self-worth cannot be put in material things like that. It definitely has to come from within.
Wisdom. That's a wisdom in your 30s. Be happy for that. That was earned.
For me, it is me just drawing closer to God and realizing how God views me and what he thinks of me and how he wants the best for me. I was able to love myself. And then after I was able to love myself, only then was I thinking, oh my gosh, I cannot do this to myself if I love myself. The Bible says that your body is the temple of God. And how would I treat the temple of God?
It's true. It's very true. As a part of being a Christian, you have to take care of your body. It's one of the tenets of the faith. It's very true. Very true.
I wouldn't want to treat the temple of God by just not caring what I put into it. I want to make sure that the temple of God is taken care of. And therefore, I start to change the way I eat. I decided, you know what? I want to exercise. I want to take care of my body. I want to take care of my spirit. I want to take care of my soul. And then weight loss happened. So after losing weight, it didn't just leave me with a smaller body, but it left me with a sense of self-worth, a sense of identity. And my identity is not put in just things. I'm okay if tomorrow I don't get to sing ever again, because my identity is not in my singing. My identity is not in my talents. It's not in how many people like me or don't like me.
Right.
My identity is in who I am in Christ. You need to find your self-worth, and you need to be able to love yourself before you're able to do any of these things. People who don't love themselves will take unhealthy routes to lose weight, like starve themselves and things like that. So yeah, you
It's true. It's pure facts with what she's saying.
still get to lose weight, but now you still feel horrible about yourself. You're slim, but just another type of slim. Now you're just like, you're still unhealthy and you still don't love yourself. I know we should never like look back on our life and have regrets and things like that. I just wish that I did not fall for this lie of being fat and beautiful and all about that base. Even
Sorry, I just love that she called her out. Okay, that is everything.
and all about that bass. Really, that was like my anthem. I think I was like 23 when that song came out. And then look at her, didn't she lose weight after releasing that song? Like by the next single, she was already smaller. You see all these people?
It's because I think her husband pushed her, because I think her husband cared about her health. But I think she gained weight again. She's kind of gone up and down. Like, I'm sorry, I pay attention, okay? I noticed that Lana Del Rey has put on weight, for example. I know I'm catty. That's just the catty gay side of me. But I notice when people gain weight. It's just a fat thing. You might get it. It could be a girly thing. It could be a gay thing. It could be that I'm just too femme, so I'm the same way as the girlies. I don't know. You guys let me know, but I notice.
They make it seem as if like, yeah, being fat is great. Like, we should all do it. But then in the end, you're going to see that you're the one who's left still fat by yourself, because all these other people who were your inspirations, they all left you. They lost weight. They all got on a healthier path. Meghan Trainor just recently talked about why she lost weight. She wanted to be healthier. She needed to be a healthy. She got a child and she was saying that how she needed to lose weight because she wanted to be a healthy mom, to be able to run with her son and things like that. You see, all these people will change their mind at any time. And
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And, you know, a lot of people have partners, family members. They're worried about their own children. Like, there's so many reasons why people do it.
you are really looking to these people, they are going to be your heroes, and you're looking to these people to validate you being fat, you're going to be left alone. Because all these people are going to at some point get a scare. I'm not surprised. I'm just waiting for the day Lizzo goes on a weight loss journey. Y'all watch and see. Lizzo's going to go on a weight loss journey.
Lizzo has tried. She's tried multiple times already to lose weight. Again, she's done very plant-based and that kind of stuff. I don't suggest it. I know it's heretical for me to say that, but it's not without reason that I say that. It's tough. It's very hard, and she's very big. So I'm just saying, girl, maybe have some meat, you know, maybe try things a little different. But yeah, she's already tried multiple times. So I think she's going to eventually do it.
All of you followers of Lizzo who worships her and think that, oh, she's so amazing and she's doing it for the fat ones, just watch and see. She's just going to leave y'all still being fat while she loses weight with the help of all her expensive personal trainers and her nutritionist. So anyway, if you're fat or you're obese or you're even heading in that direction and you're in your 20s, please, now is the time for you to change. Now is the time for you to do something. Because also one more thing, your metabolism is so much more better in this stage of your life than
It's true. When you're younger, it's easier to lose. There's even, you know, on this channel, we talk a lot about hypothyroidism and that kind of stuff. And typically your thyroid hasn't slowed down as much when you're younger either. So you don't have to put as much work to get it back. You can help your thyroid, you can rebuild thyroid health, but it takes a lot of work and it can take years. You know, it took me 1.5 years of work to be able to lose weight. Like, just put that into perspective. I've been losing weight for 1 year already. You know, it takes time. So if you do it younger, it can be faster. But I don't ever want my older peeps to feel like it's hopeless. It's not hopeless at all. It just takes longer. That's all.
when you're in your 30s. I know because as soon as I was like pushing 30, it was not easy for me to lose weight as it was in the beginning. When I lost a little bit of weight and I gained it all back in my mid-20s, it was not as easy when I tried to redo it again in my late 30s and my late 20s. So I'm saying that if you are going to do it now. If anyone out there who is on a weight loss journey or have lost weight, want to comment down below some tips and tricks or things that helped you or what inspired you or anything like that, please feel free to do so. Hopefully someone can learn from your...
No seed oils, have less estrogenic foods, no soy, no alcohol, no weed. Count calories, make activity a part of your life, lift weights. That's what's helped me.
Comments as well. And I hope you guys liked this video. If you liked it, don't forget to give this video
Eat lots of meat and lots of carbs and lots of fat. Saturated fat, of course.
a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell because I upload new videos every
That's it. Yeah, that was awesome. So thank you so much, Caleb. Caleb's, like I said, he's making me hold down the fort of the channel. Thank you so much. That was a lot more pleasant than when Caleb suggested the Virgie thing. That scarred me for life. This was actually really nice. So thank you so much. I will see you guys again soon. Let me know your thoughts below. I hope you guys are doing well. I know it's a long one. It's a deep dive. I'm sorry. I go deep. But I like my long form content, girlies and boilies. Boilies, oh my God. Girlies and boys. Y'all love it. I love you. Introvert pride forever. Period facts. Let's get to it. Thank you guys so much. I will talk to you guys again very soon. Have a good one. Bye.